Hey viewers, welcome to my channel History Hub. Today we will know about the history of United States part 20. President and Lyndon by Johnson and Secret and Congressional and process of his Great Society and program in the mid 1916. The included and civil rights, their great and suggestions and Medicare, an extension of welfare and federal aid to education at all levels, and subsidies for the arts and humanities, and environmental activations and their self and programs, and designed to whip and out property, as a later he ministry explained, and gradually liberal and interculture and crafted a new vision of achieving economics and social justice. The liberalism of the early and 1960 and contained no hint of radicalism. A little and dispositions to review new jail area days as instant connected economics powers and the intention to redistribute wealth or the structure and exciting situations, and internationally it was and strongly anti-communist. It's aimed and defined in the free world to engross and economics ground and at home and ensures that resulting and plenty as we are distributed there and a grant of much and influenced by Keynesian's economics their theory and incipient Mississippi public and incipient and expensive and that what speed and economics growth and providing the public and resource and found of large and welfare and housing that educational program. John was elected and said elections and electronic and landslide in 1946 against and conservatory empire and cold water which broke in the dictator's control and Congress the conservative election. However, the Republican bounced it and break in 1966 and elected and reached Nixon in 1960. 8 and Nixon largely continued to the New Deal and Great and Society programs, and he headed an conservative reaction would and come to the election of Roland and Reagan in 1980. And meanwhile, the American people completed great and migration from France into the cities and expanded a period as subsidized economics and combination. Main article civil marine starting in the late 1950 and institutionalist regions and across to the United States, but especially the South and increasingly challenged by the growing and civil rights a movement, the activation of African and American leaders and Rosa Parks and Martin Luther and King Jr. and led to the Montgomery bus and boycott, which and launched with the movement and for years Americans bold and struggled with violence and against with the Trump but would achieve and great step and toward an equally Supreme Court and decisions included the Brown and Board of Education allowing the Virginia and Civil Rights of Act 1964, the Voting Rights and Act 1965, and the Fair Housing Act of 1968, which they ended the Jim and Crow laws, and that legalized and legal and segregations between the white and blacks. Martin Luther King Jr., who had won the 1964 Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts to achieve equality of their days and was established in 1968 following his death. Other the later movement most and notable King Window and Coretta Scott King, who was also active like and her husband in the oppositions to the Vietnam War and in the Women's and Liberations movement. There were 146 raids in 828 and American cities in the first time 9 months in 1967 and fortunations with seemingly solo and progress with the integrations and movements led the immigrants of more and radical and discourse and drawing to the early 1960 which in turn gave it the rise into black and power a movement of the late 1960 and early 1970 the dedicated would be ultimately bring about the positive stride and what an integration is basically government and serve for sports and entertainment native Americans and turned and federal courts to fight for their land rights, their health and protest and high lately and the federal government were alert to warner entities and one the most outspoken and Native American groups was the American Indian movement. Yeah, I am in the 1960 and clearest chiefs and began the organization properly paid Mexican American farm workers in California. He led the 5 years and long streaks by the graphs and speakers and then chiefs and from to the nation's first and successfully and union from the workers. His Unit Farm and Workers of America UFW faltered after the years and but after the Chavez and died in 1993 and became the an iconic and folk state and pantheon of Mexican Americans. A new and conscious sense of the inequality American women began and sweeping in the nations and stating in 1963 and publications of BC Ferian's bestseller, The Freeman's and My Stings, which is explained in now many housewives. Felt and trapped and unfortunate and isolate and American culture for its creations for the nations that women could only find in Follins meant and thought out their roles and wives through mothers and skipers with the mothers and agreed that women were just available men and drew a very type of job in 1966 Ferdinand who had established the National Organization for Women who attacked the women as the unnecessary and did we were Americans Protestant began and new women's liberations and movement grew its size and power the candidate to media and attention by 1968 and replaced the civil rights and mobilization the US and main social revolution marches and paid Israels and boycotts and pickets and brought out the thousands and sometimes millions. There are striking gains for the women in medicine, law and business and will only few were and elected to office. The women and movement sprite and affection of the early day and the ideological now and left hand movement and turned to the from the younger women and left and the proposed and equal right and amend the amend it constitution and passed and Congress 1972 was divided by conservative coalitions mobilized by police and scale fairly the Eric that it is the degraded the positions of the housewives and made young women the success to the military draft. However, equalizing and employment, education, employment opportunity, and credit editing the pregnancy and discriminations and requiring and as the military, academics, and other organizations to admit women. A state was a walls and so polls observes marital lives and Supreme Court and rulings and ruling the protection clauses 14th Amendment and applicant to women and state URS established and equal and under the social customs and consequences begin to change, accepting women quality, the controllable uses and protection, recommended by the Supreme of Courts and fundamental and right and review wife in 1933 is still and point and thereby change today. Thank you for watching my videos. Please like, share and subscribe my channel for upcoming videos. Goodbye.